Kerry, I guess the UK and EU, to be or not to be?
Well, that is the question, yes, and it's the question they're going to have to answer on the 23rd of June, because the Prime Minister, I think probably going back to the point where he was trying to become leader of the party and helpfully appease the very far right of his party, promised a number of things, including a referendum, and now the day has arrived, or very soon it will arrive, and so Britain has to decide whether it is part of Europe, as it has been militarily and economically and in every other way, culturally, for hundreds of years, or whether it cuts those ties and tries to establish some new kind of relationship with the European Union.
There's been a suggestion that perhaps they should walk away and actually reshape the Commonwealth and
Yes.
trade deals with us lot.
Yeah, well, that would bring some benefit perhaps to New Zealand exporters, but we've reoriented our trading relationship so brilliantly over the last 40 plus years, from a time when 93% of our exports went to the United Kingdom, to today where perhaps 5 to 7% go there, and we've just transformed our relationships so well. Do we want to unpick all of that? I'm not sure.
And it's the size of the market, isn't it? Because the UK is not that big compared to the rest of the world.
No, well, the UK is 60 plus million, but Europe by itself is well over 300. The United States is 300, China a billion. We never traded with China until I first went into Parliament, and we recognised the Beijing government and opened up all of those opportunities, which we're benefiting from immensely as a country today. So there's only so much that can be produced and sold, but I suspect that the economic argument in England and Britain will prevail. I hope it does anyhow, because the Remain people have clearly won the economic argument. Britain will be poorer by far if it decides to leave the Union.
Because trade-wise, I mean, are you scared about TPP if either the two leaders get into the presidency in the United States?
Well, my preference would be for Clinton, because although she's critical of some aspects of the TPP, I think that she'll work through those with Congress, whereas Trump seems to be against it. But Trump hasn't got, in my view, a very strong political background. He doesn't quite seem to understand all of the complications of shooting off at the lip, as he has done from time to time.
17-pounder field guns don't actually. I mean, he really is, isn't he? I mean, he seems to have come out and said, "Well, no, we just don't want to know all about that."
Exactly. I mean, exactly, because he's trying to appeal to blue-collar workers whose jobs might be threatened by freer trade, but really, freer trade, providing you've got safety mechanisms in there for political sovereignty and all of that, freer trade does make everybody better off.
Does the Congress and Senate over there actually guide? I mean, can he be outvoted?
Yes, he could be, although his own party has a clear majority in the House of Reps, and they pretty much gerrymander their seats. That's hard to see being changed. The Senate, though, they are quite vulnerable there. I think they've got 24 of their senators up for re-election in November, and so it's possible there could be a change in the Senate and the Democrats could get back in control. But which it's a complicated system.
Yeah, it is.
Checks and balances, and not like here where our government can decide to do anything. And there's not much in its way.
Yeah, speaking of cans of fuel over a fire, yeah. Changing the subject though, a bit more locally, urban spread's a concern.
Well, it is. I think both the major parties in Parliament have now kind of signalled that they want to see Auckland's urban boundary scrapped. I think that's regrettable, actually, because I think that until we come to terms with the fact that we cannot just keep on spreading our cities out over productive farmland forever, we're going to be diminishing our productive base. And the cost of infrastructure, building that for ever-expanding urban areas is also something which is generally left to the next generation. So at some point, some government is going to have to say, we need a new paradigm in housing, we need to have stronger planning laws, we need to respect the independence of hearing panels rather than try to intimidate them from off the side. And I just think we need to, I mean, I was in England recently and I was so impressed. There you've got, in England, maybe 50 million people, and yet when you're taking the train through the country, you've got all of this green area. I mean, if that was New Zealand, there would be, there would hardly be any green area left with our current mentality.
Is it a case of Auckland as a big pool of voters?
Well, it is, and there is a for sure, Auckland will swing elections pretty much alone, but there are disputes within Auckland. Younger people tend to want apartment living because they think they'll be able to afford that. Older people tend to want to keep their quarter acre or fifth of an acre or whatever, and so to appease the demand for housing, the easiest way always is just to say, oh, we'll just spread a bit more. And
Yes,
then
that
spread a bit more and spread a bit more.
It's the mindset, isn't it?
It is, yeah, it is.
Like trying to get people in Christchurch to catch a bus. But that's another story.
That's
Kerry,
another
thank you
story.
very much indeed.
Cheers.